Okay, so I just decided to do some kind of like really big moment thing for myself real quick, which is, I mean, other than doing all this, I guess, which is screw the shifter on, which somehow with the Cummins almost lines up to perfection. But I was wondering how I'm going to do this shifter, and I didn't realize, I thought it was going to be like a mile long, like way up here, but I mean, and I also thought it was probably going to have to be changed so it didn't hit the dash, but it's like, there's first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like nowhere near the dash, like it's perfect. And then reverse. So I'm not even gonna have to change the shifter. The shifter's like already good to go. And then the other thing, by the way, the body is mounted. Needs a million things still, but you know, I gotta do the back section, which is laying on the ground right there. But I gotta put that back here and then weld up the tailgate and the tail light areas and all that good stuff and make it so it's just a rear section. And then I gotta somehow meet the floor level that rolls down to this, which I'll just do with some sheet metal. As thin as this is, it'll be a piece of cake. I can weld thin pretty well, just been doing it for so long, I guess. But anyway, so that'll be the back of the body. And strangely, I thought I was gonna have to really shorten this frame like several feet. I know I'm gonna have to shorten the back for sure. I mean, the back's too long. But if I decided on a 6-foot bed, that's 1 foot longer than a Gladiator. This is the axle at 3 foot. So if I'm trying to put the bed center of the axle, this thing is already the right size. And I mean that tail panel, as you can see, pokes out a little further. I cut 12 inches here. It's supposed to be around 10 inches. So that tail panel is actually going to be somewhere about here and then work its way around, which is still going to be about 12 inches. But the bed's going to kind of hug over the edge like a factory bed. You know, I'm using this bed. I'm just cutting the sides down and shortening it. And then I'm cutting the front and bringing it in and cutting the back and bringing it in, deciding on where I want the axle. But if I have to move the axle, I think the easiest route would probably be, I mean, it's never easy, but I think what I'll probably do is I'll grind these big rivets out. Obviously, I'll take all this off first, but I'll measure the distance between here and there. That way I don't confuse myself. But I'll grind these rivets out and then take that piece off, work my way over here, grind these rivets out, take that piece off, do the same on the other side. And then I have enough play room right here. As you can see, the axle's here. And then I got to about right here that I can play with going forward. So if I wanted a standard Gladiator size bed, which is 5 foot, so it'd be 2.5 foot. That's a standard Gladiator bed right there. As far as center of the bed, if I decide to center the axle instead of a Gladiator, how they have the axle like way up here in the front, it's just not, to me, it just doesn't look right personally. But it may be designed for better off-road or something like that. But for my purposes, I think, you know, I'm not going to be going crazy off-road. You know, I may drive a trail or something, but all this work done to this thing, I'm not planning on just slamming it and wearing it out and tearing stuff up. I'm going to use it to haul and do work every day just like I normally would. And that's kind of the plan for this thing. So, yeah, this is pretty much it. I was really worried about axle spacing. And I pretty much think I have it gravy now. And in order to do that, since that hole was amazing, and then the firewall is like a perfect setup, I can stick my hand back behind the motor easy. But anyway, there's apparently something my dog's chasing over there. But anyway, so since that was like that, I had to move the motor 12 1/4 back. So that was a lot to do, but it's done. Motor mounts are, let's see, where are they? They're down in there. They're welded in place. I welded them up pretty thick, probably more than factory. Let's see this side. Yeah, there you go. So that's it. I got to pressure wash all the grime off. I already did the frame. I wish I would have done that with the body off, but I'm not taking this body off again. That was a lot of work. That's what I've been using, is this M62 gas burning wrecker. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm thinking skid plate on this because that looks like it would be freaking awesome to catch something and bend it all back and tear everything up. Oil pan is about the same level really, but the axle's lower than all of it. So really and truly, if your axle can clear whatever it is just fine, then everything else should too, unless you're in some crazy terrain. Definitely gonna have to get a longer drive shaft for the front, 12 inches and a quarter longer, and then a longer drive shaft or shorter drive shaft for the rear. And instead of the two-piece situation that they had on this thing, I'm gonna try to see if I have enough. You know, you can only go so long with a steel drive shaft. I don't want to spend $800 on an aluminum drive shaft, so I'm gonna try to see if it's long enough or short enough that I can still do a steel drive shaft, because that would just save so much. But anyway, with a 373 ratio, it's not going to turn that fast, and I'm not ever going over 70 or 80 miles per hour at the max. So that should translate to being pretty safe speed for even a steel drive shaft, if it's not something crazy. I haven't measured it, so I really don't know. But if I do a steel drive shaft, all I have to do is get the original drive shaft pieces, which are over here. Well, that's the front, never mind. But anyway, I have to do that one. I don't know where the original drive shaft pieces are. Well, here's one of them. But anyway, I had to get the original drive piece ends off of it. Right there, and just extend it straight out. Man, that thing's tiny. Thought it was bigger than that. Guess not. Oh yeah, the other half of the drive shaft's in here. Maybe it's thicker. Oh yeah, it's thicker. Okay, so this probably will be the end we'll be using, because that's the tail shaft piece, and they'll have to weld somehow that end onto this end here. So I don't really know if they're going to be able to do that, but worst case scenario, they'll probably have the tooling and the parts to be able to order that. But yeah, electrical is going to be fun. So here's all the wiring harness for the big plastic thing that holds all the, the tip-em. As long as I can wire that back up and plug everything back together and just set it up where I just wire a key, ignition switch wire from the ignition switch to the starter, which is pretty simple there. Everything else should work in the Jeep, headlights and everything. I haven't affected any of the wiring to the lights or anything like that, other than these back here, which they're not cut. They're just, all folded back up in here. Those were the original taillight wires that would run along the body and go to the taillight. So when I do the truck bed, I'll just make like a little port somewhere, maybe right in here or something, and the light wires, well, probably not there because there's a wheel well kind of thing. Well, I don't know, this will be closed up. But anyway, I'll make a port where the wires can go underneath there, and I'll connect and extend them all the way to wherever the tail lights are going to be, kind of like a Dodge truck would be. And then for the fuel pump wires, they actually are in this plug over here. Let's see. I didn't realize it, but they come out of this plug here, and that's on the frame still over there. I just left it on there so I remember which one's which. Being a 12 valve, there's no electric fuel pump. It's just manual. So that makes it pretty simple. I just need a fuel gauge wire, a couple of fuel gauge wires, which are the factory wire for the Jeep, which goes to the factory harness of the Jeep. So it should be kind of a direct plug and play, just to have to extend it to match. And another thing that's cool is this gas tank, which I stupidly put full tank before I did all this, so it weighs like 300 pounds right now. That gas tank I didn't think would work because I thought I was going to have to move the axle way further forward. But now if I do a 6-foot bed, I can actually use the factory Dodge gas tank. I can bolt it directly back up in there. I got to put the cross member back in place, so I got to figure that out, especially with the frame being, having to lower right here. So that's going to be an interesting feat in itself. But anyway, that's where I'm at.